Hi, everyone. I just wanted to hop on here and have a quick discussion about a recent post that I did about this idea of the value of money. So, give me one second. I'm just going to share this on my pages and also go live on Instagram. All right. So, this is on my timeline. Okay. So, there's one. And then, all right. So, now we're on live on Instagram. Okay, hi Instagram. So again, just to repeat myself, I wanted to quickly jump on here and have a discussion about what it actually means to earn money and actually have the fulfillment behind earning that money. So I did a post recently that I got a lot of feedback. A lot of people were answering me on. Hi Instagram. Sorry, I have two things, but and this post was really about this idea about how I don't actually give. I had this realization lately that money is not what drives me. What actually drives me are the things that I'm able to do with money, which is pay people that to do the things that I don't like so I can focus on the things that I love. It's to be able to essentially dream bigger and have bigger ideas and run free with my ideas and with the understanding that I can actually fund them. And then it's also this idea of being able to afford special experiences with people that I love so that this is too expensive or I can't afford this is never an excuse on the table. So I had a lot of people coming back to me and asking me about this idea of money, right? And how much of it, what we want is actually money and how much of what we want is actually fulfillment, right? So about 2 years ago, I gave up my life. I had a corporate life in New York City. I was getting a decent paycheck and I was on my way in my corporate career. And I gave that all up to travel the world. Obviously, the first thing that people think is, why, like, how do you afford that? How on earth would you do that, right? So I'll spare you the actual details, which I've written many articles about how I saved money and whatnot. But what I realized is that I was in a position where I was very unhappy with my life. And it didn't matter how much money was coming in because what I was doing with my paycheck was just distracting myself. I was just, paying to, go to a theater or do things that I like. And it was wonderful and I loved it. It was fun. But then at the end of the day, I was still like, well, what am I actually doing with my life? Am I waking up and doing something that I'm passionate about? Am I waking up and doing something that gives me a sense of purpose, right? So I realized that the answer was no. And to me, what moved me out of this state of just being in the same routine every single day was this idea that how much is what, like, are the benefits of what I'm living? How much is it worth waking up to a life that doesn't bring me the joy and fulfillment that I want? Right. And that's why I left. And that's why I broke free, regardless of the money. I didn't care for it. Right. I saved just enough for me to survive every month and no more. Right. And then I went off into the world and I was like, screw it. What I'm focusing on right now is being happy. What I'm focusing on is reconnecting with myself and the person that I want to be and actually living that. And that to me is what living a dream is more so like. So, I went about doing that and I left, an old life. I left a routine that I was used to that was just making me feel empty inside. And the reason why it was making me feel empty inside was because I was sitting in front of an office all day. Every time I would talk to people, because I was in New York City, which is known to be a little bit of a superficial city, but like people say, hey, how are you? And then they just keep walking. They don't even care to hear the answer, right? Or, if I wanted to hang out and see my friend, to have a drink with my friend, have lunch with my friend, I would have to book myself on their calendar. And they would have to book themselves on mine. And I will wake up in the morning and I would just basically do the same thing over and over again, not understanding what was the bigger picture. So when I left New York City and I just decided to do what I actually wanted to do with my life, I said to me, I was free, right? I was like, I was just like, I don't have to worry about a paycheck every month. I know I'm going to make it work. I know I'm just going to make it work. And I did every month. And all I'm going to focus on is me and connecting to my vision and connecting to what is inside of me and just do that. And that is all I'm going to focus on. So for months and months, I focused on authentically being myself, right? uncensored, sharing my sense of humor, writing stories of myself around the world. So, that's also how I grew my Instagram and Facebook following. Every single day, I would wake up and I would think, what did I appreciate today? What did I feel gratitude for today? And I'd write a story about it. Right. And then people started to listen to me. And I would say whatever was on my mind. I would swear. I would say like, fuck this, fuck that, or like whatever I genuinely felt like saying in that moment. I was authentically 100% being myself, right? To others and to me, because I didn't have this thing hovering over my head of what I needed to be or how I needed to show up in the office and act that day. And I was just me, right? So then when I just started to be and do whatever the fuck I wanted, something very interesting started to happen, right? People started to approach me. People started to be like, hey, I really love what you're doing. I love that you can just say whatever is on your mind. I wish I could be that way. And then I would ask things like, why not? Why aren't you being that way? Oh, because I'm in a corporate office, or because, my family expects me to act a certain way, my culture. And I know that there's restrictions. I understand that there's restrictions, but ask yourself, how can you get closer every day to being who you actually are, to expressing yourself as you are? What can you do about it if you live in an environment where you can't do that? What can you do? Because repressing yourself is not going to work. And what does any of this have to do with money? I will tell you. Because not only people started approaching me, brands started approaching me, companies started approaching me, and even offering me money, right? And as my following was growing, because I was being authentically me, as my following was growing, as I was getting featured on media, people started to approach me and even throw money at me to be a certain way, to act a certain way. And because I was already at a low where I wasn't making any money, I was already broke. I didn't have much to lose 2 years ago. I'd be like, no, I'm not doing that. Like, I'm not posting some stupid photo with a cereal box. Like, that doesn't matter to me. Like, why would I do that? And I turned them down because I didn't want to act a certain way. I didn't want to fit that mold. And I turned down money because of that. But what I did say yes to were brands who were offering me things that I wanted, or things that connected with me, that aligned with my vision, that aligned with the brand that I was creating. So essentially what started to happen slowly but surely is I was being authentically myself, exactly saying the things that really were coming straight out of my heart, and people were connecting with that. And people also who were looking for someone else to talk about that sort of message were connecting with that too. And because I understood what it meant to be authentically me, I was able to say no to things, even things that were somewhat lucrative, right? I was offered a job. I even remember 1 year after I left and I was working, I was offering a job. I was offered a job that was like double the price that of the same job that I was doing in New York. It was double. It was better hours. It was a more senior title, but I was going to be doing the same exact thing. So I said no. I'm going to just keep going. I'm going to just keep trying, because that money is not worth the cost, which is my time, my freedom, my flexibility, and doing the things that I really wanted to do, and the ability to be authentically myself. That is too much of a cost, guys. Think about it. Think about how much money is worth losing yourself, sacrificing yourself, and who you want to be. Think about that. So I said no. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to keep trying. People told me it was crazy. I was crazy to turn that down. But guess what? 2 months later, I started making double what they offered me, right? Doing exactly what I wanted to do with my time, control, flexibility, doing what I love, and serving people exactly the way that I wanted. So when people came to me and they said, they came to me, brands came to me and would try to, negotiate with me, or when I approached brands or companies, to either promote their product or to help them with their brand story, whatever, and negotiating with them, I was able to push back, to give you an example. When I started 2 years ago, I was charging $40 for an article. That is absurd. Absurd. And I would just write whatever I was so much more flexible with what I would write. And very quickly, I was like, no, actually, I'm going to write about this, and it's going to be 100. And then most people said no, and then someone said yes. And then I did it again. And I said, I'm going to write about this, and I'm going to be really good at it, and it's going to be 200. And most people said no, but then one person said yes. And then I did it again, and I did it again until my articles started selling for anywhere between $700 and $3,000 because the things that I would say were coming from my heart. They were genuine, they were authentic, and I was not willing to do it any other way. The creative control was mine. So when you are truly connected to who you are as a person, and you don't allow money to basically cloud your senses, to cloud what you really want, you actually end up getting what you want anyway, right? Because when you then get the confidence to push back. You have the confidence to be yourself, to protect your boundaries, to say no, this is not what I want, this is what I'm worth, and this is what you're going to give me. And many people will say no, but then someone's going to say yes. And you only need that one person to say yes for you to get rewarded. So you can be yourself and you can get rewarded. Okay? Think about that. Don't give a fuck about money. Give a fuck about fulfillment, because money comes when you have fulfillment. And if you're making money and you don't have fulfillment, it means nothing to your well-being, to the quality of your person. And when I said no to certain brands or to certain companies, I realized it wasn't worth my time anyway, because what I'd be selling is basically time that I didn't want to give up. And I would be selling someone else's values, right? So it's absolutely possible to align with your values, to align with the person that you want to be. And then you can attract exactly those type of people around you. So, if you're concerned that you're like, oh, well, I'm afraid no one's going to buy my thing. I'm afraid that no one's going to buy the service. I'm afraid that people aren't going to listen to me. Yeah, you might not have 3 million people listening to you, but like in my case, I have 30,000. And that to me is enough, because that's enough to drive change, right? And you don't even need 30,000. You need one. You need one person who will listen to you, who aligns with your value, with the authentic you, and is going to respond to that and is going to help you. You only need one person. If you have more, excellent. Like that will only amplify your influence, amplify what you are capable of doing. But what I'm trying to say is that people always like, okay, how did you grow your following? How are you doing your work? Yada, yada, yada. And it's like, I just wake up every day and I try my hardest to be my most authentic, true self. Sometimes I fail. Sometimes I have weeks where I completely disconnect with myself and I do things that maybe are out of character or things like that. But the point is that I try so hard to bring myself back to me. And when I do that, every time I'm authentically, truthfully myself, and I do what's in my heart and I speak from my heart, I get rewarded from it. People come to me because they love what I stand for, right? And when they love what they stand for, they want to stand for that. And then that influences them to do something and be themselves. And again, it also turns into paying clients, because clients come to me because they love what they stand for and they want to learn how to do it too. Companies come to me because they love what I stand for and they want to learn how they can talk about themselves that way, So by the time that when you're yourself, when you're truly yourself and you stay true to that and don't get clouded by money, and you really look at money as a tool to get you more of what you love. Money is one of many tools, networking, money, time. They're all just tools that get you to that fulfillment and that life that you want, so that you can do more of what you love, so you can give that to other people, because the more you produce, the more you have to give to others. So don't be influenced by what people are throwing at you. Don't let money hold you in a certain place where you don't want to be. If you're in a job that you don't want to be there, don't be there because of the money. Don't do anything because of the money. Do what you need to do and find creative solutions. And then you find ways to make money to essentially accelerate you on that path. Because by the time and people find you, you're not just doing this for yourself. You're primarily doing this for yourself, but you're essentially creating a movement. It's a ripple effect. So to all the people who ask me, like, how do you get published? Or like, how did you become an influencer? How are you, creating your dream business or a business that serves your lifestyle? The short answer is there is no manual. All the hacks and all these tricks and tips that people tell you to do, and do this and do this, and watch this video and you'll make like $100 in a day or $1,000 in a day. Like read this manual, read this book, and in 1 year you'll be doing this. Like all the shit that people tell you, take it with a grain of salt. Follow your heart, because all that we can do, all that the people, like, all I can do is share with you what I learned from my experience. And some of those things might work for you and some of them may not. And the same goes with any other coach, right? All they can do is share with you the knowledge that they've accrued with their experience by building the life. So if the life that they're living is a life you want to live, then by all means, try to learn from them, right? But if you're trying, if, for example, if my goal is to travel the world and connect with people and really have this life where I wake up every day and don't work that many hours and still make enough money for me to fund everything that I want to do, I don't want to go follow the advice of somebody who's working 70 hours a week and making whatever, $3 million a year. And they're like in their office every day and they don't travel. Like, that's not the person whose money advice I want to follow, because that's not the person who's living my life, the life that I want, right? So it is like the one reason why coaches get paid a lot of money. It's because it's really fucking hard to figure out how to do things your own way, right? I know that it sounds easy to be like, yeah, you can wake up and be fulfilled and basically have the sort of life that you want, exactly how you want it. It's possible, but the steps that were taken and this energy that was put in and the time that was sacrificed to get to that point is a lot. It's a huge cost, right? And again, goes back to money. It's something that's not money, but it's just as much worth it, right? So to figure things out a certain way, to put these formulas together, is a lot of effort, but guess what? It is absolutely worth it. And that's why we do it, and that's why we teach it. But at the end of the day, the true instruction of how to dream a life that is fulfilling and that really gives you what it is that you need, the true instruction, the true manual comes right here. It's from inside. It's from connecting with yourself, is understanding what you want, why do you want it, and how you're going to go about doing it. When you take the time and effort to actually do that and connect with that, then yes, you are going to find the path. And if not, you're going to find somebody who has done the path before you and is going to teach you that path. So what does that look like for me specifically? My path specifically, this is what I do, how I live my life, how I make money, and what I do for free anyways, and how I've been able to essentially find fulfillment despite money. One, I always attempt to reconnect to why I started in the first place. What is my purpose? What is my vision? Why am I here? Right? For me personally, my purpose is to create and share stories. I love telling stories. And not only that, to teach people how to tell stories so that we can all have this sense of connection of like what our history is, where we come from, and why it matters in the big picture for me and for others, right? That's an example of what my vision is. Every day I wake up and I try to tell a story that not only provides value and reconnects me to myself, but provides that sort of value to the people who are listening to me. The second is telling stories in a way that's fun, effortless, and authentically you, right? Tell your stories and tell them in a way that makes your heart sing, and you're going to see how you're going to get closer to what you want to do, and you're going to see how people listen to you, right? Building the confidence to share your true message to the world, because if you want something, how do you expect anyone to know what you truly want and to help you get it if you don't tell them? Right? So have the confidence to talk about your message, to share it with the world so that people can help you, so that people can approach you and connect with you the same way that people started to approach me when I started my work, and clients started to approach me just based on the message that I was sending out. Like, what if you could tell your story just as you are, and you can actually be rewarded for it? And I promise you, it's true. You are absolutely capable by telling your story, from my experience, from what I've done, to magnetize your dream audience, to get people coming, just flocking towards you based on your message, to effortlessly tell your stories from the heart in your own unique way, to feel empowered about the message that you're spreading to the world, and to reconnect to why you're creating your story, or if you're making a brand, which is the work that I do, in the first place. You can be yourself and you can make money. And I promise you that, because not only myself as an example, but there's tons of people who are doing it right now. And all you have to do is look them up, and they're doing it in very different ways, which is what makes this life that we live in. We're in 2018, the internet world, the technology world. This is what makes the moment that we're living in so damn exciting. is that we're able to identify the core desire behind why we want to make money, which is tends to be our passion, right? Like for me, it's so I can travel the world. It's so I can meet people. It's so I can wake up every day and have the flexibility to do what I want to do. I'm a creative person. I love writing. I love talking to people. I want to have time to do all the things I want to do. So that is my way. That is how I do it. Authentically telling stories, teaching people how to tell the stories and how to live life that way. And then I get to do what I want, right? So going back to the purpose of this life is to really help you understand that you are capable of being authentically you, and you should challenge yourself every single day to express yourself, to connect to yourself, and to actually look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, what do I really want? Is this life that I'm living in, is it worth, what is actually controlling me? Am I waking up every day and am I doing what I want to do, and am I pursuing my vision and my passion? Or am I just here in it for the paycheck? Am I just waking up every day and doing all these things because I'm going to get a paycheck at the end of the day, which I'm going to spend on rent, living in a city that you may or may not like, buying drinks so that you can forget about your problems, or meeting friends for an hour and having some meaningless conversations about work? Right? Like, ask yourself what you're using your time with, and when you're getting compensated for it, what does it actually mean? Because at the end of the day, you can make no money and be very happy, or you can make millions of money and be absolutely miserable. The money's not the problem. It's you, right? It's you telling yourself that you need it when you don't. So think about what it is that you want, what makes you fulfilled, and then go about doing that in a way that makes you money. And every single penny is going to mean the world to you. And not only that, but to yourself and to others, because you're going to be able to share that with people around you. So I hope that this was helpful today. If you guys have any questions about the concepts that I'm discussing, or the philosophy that I touched upon, feel free to DM me, feel free to PM me, and we can talk about it. Again, this is, as I mentioned, this is also something that I myself do for a living, but there is tons of free content on my website. Also, my newsletter, I can drop the link to sign up for my newsletter in the description. So tons of information out there that I've given you guys, I created for you guys. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. But anyway, I hope that today's talk was helpful. Remember, care about fulfillment. Give a fuck about your fulfillment, because that, in the end, that is what will make you wake up every day and smile and actually be happy with the life that you're in. So, okay, so goodbye, Instagram, and goodbye, Facebook.